and detect pollution, if any. Tests for pesticides and heavy metals are outsourced to independent laboratories on an ad hoc basis or for suspected pollution. In addition to the above, the Central Water Authority advises the public to regularly clean their water tanks at least twice yearly. The Ministry of Health and Wellness, being the enforcing agency under the Environment Protection Act, also monitors the quality of drinking water in the Central Water Authority networks. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Central Water Authority has informed that as per the latest water quality tests performed by the ISO-certified CWA laboratory during the month of March 2023, the microbiological and physicochemical parameters are compliant with approved drinking water standards. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B of the question, I am informed by the Central Water Authority that as per the World Health Organization guidelines, a residual chlorine dosage in the range of 0.3 to 0.5 milligram per liter is required to maintain the microbiological safety of the filtered water. Wrongly calibrated chlorine dosage may result in the absence of residual chlorine, and which may in turn give rise to the presence of pathogenic bacteria. The chlorine installation units at the level of the CWA are equipped with up to standard equipment such as vacuum regulators to ensure that the chlorine dosage is well maintained at all times. A dedicated team of chlorine technicians intervene during and after office hours in case there is an anomaly detected in the dosage of chlorine. Furthermore, there is a coordination mechanism amongst the various departments of the CWA which are involved in the treatment and supply of water to ensure that safe water is provided to the population. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
D'après l'Environmental Performance Index de 2022 du Yale University, dans la catégorie Quality of Drinking Water, qui mesure la capacité d'un pays à protéger la santé de sa population contre la mauvaise qualité de l'eau potable, Maurice a un score de seulement 63,6. À titre de comparaison, le score des Royaumes-Unis est de 100. Je vais déposer une copie de ce Environmental Performance Index et je demande à l'honorable ministre s'il est au courant que l'index de la qualité de l'eau potable de Maurice est aussi bas, pouvant nuire et avoir un impact dangereux sur la santé de la population, et comment compte-t-il y remédier?
Mr. Speaker, sir, unfortunately, I'm not aware of the ranking of Mauritius in that index, first of all. But what I can say, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that the water which is being given to our population is as per norm established within the Environment Protection Act 1991. And I've also stated that on a very regular basis, the quality of water is tested not only by the CWA, but by also other entities to ensure that the water which is distributed to the population is of good quality.
This paper you have circulated cannot be understood, and it is a supplementary question. Just avoid referring to that paper. Put your next supplementary.
But the paper is available online, and it is a public paper for
it is a public
Yale
paper.
University.
I know it is a public paper, but the point is that when you stand in Parliament to put a question, your question should be understood, and the paper you put in on the table should be understood. Take care of that. Continue.
Maybe we need better quality printers. Je demande au ministre si, durant la dernière année, il y a eu des pénuries de chlore gazeux, si oui, quand? Et si, durant les pénuries...
This is a question which is not... I don't know if the minister has this kind of answer.
No, this is, Mr. Speaker,
You
sir,
should stick.
I wish I could reply, but I don't have the information.
You should stick to your main question. You have two supplementary for clarification.
In my question about the chlorine dosage, it is in my question. It is B. In my question, I am talking about chlorine.
Put your question.
Yes.
Your question.
Yes. So I am asking if, si durant les pénuries, la CWA a recours au chlore en forme solide. Si oui, comment est assuré que le dosage de celui-ci est adéquatement fait?
Mr. Speaker, sir, what I said is, I wish I could reply to this supplementary question. But what the honourable member has asked is irrelevant to the main question that she has put.
So
unfortunately, I cannot
your
reply.
Your turn is finished. Next question.
B316.
Mr. Speaker, sir, preservation of fresh fish is an important aspect of food hygiene and usage of ice, which is one of the various methods used, is one of the safest cooling methods. Not only does ice keep fish moist and suitable for transport, it allows fishermen to retain the freshness of their catch during their long day at sea. Ice has been used to ensure that quality fish products enter the local market as ice preserves fish and extends shelf-life by lowering the temperature of fish. Thus, if the temperature is decreased, the fish retains its freshness for a longer time. Currently, my ministry has put in place the following measures to ensure preservation of fresh fish. A general course for fishers. In fact, this course is dispensed by the Fisheries Training and Extension Center, and one of the modules is fish handling, preservation, and marketing. And since 2019 to date, FITEC has trained 427 fishers and 123 fishmongers for the period 2021 and 2022. This general course is ongoing. And the second is distribution of ice boxes to ensure that fresh fish products reach our local markets. My ministry has already provided 1,755 ice boxes to the registered fishermen. And now the provision for ice-making machines with regard to supplies of ice flakes. My ministry, in collaboration with the United Nations Development Programme, has embarked on a project entitled Supporting the Economic Empowerment of the Artisanal Fishing Community of the Republic of Mauritius project, basically known as the EcoFish project, with the aim to empowering the artisanal fishers. One component is the procurement and installation of 4 containerized solar-powered ice-making machines for Mauritius and 1 for Rodrigues. The objective of installing the ice-making machines is to provide ice flakes to the fishermen community for the conservation of their catch during and after their fishing activities. This year, the ice-making plants will be placed at Cas-Noyal, Mayberg, Trou-de-Douce, and Grand Gobe Fisheries Post, and 1 in Rodrigues. Mr. Speaker, sir, the ice-making plants will be an ongoing project until all our fisheries posts are equipped with ice-making machines to enable all our fishers to benefit from this facility. Mr. Speaker, sir, my minister has a similar project with FAO Refish project, under which 2 ice-making machines will be installed in Troubiche and Poste de Flac, and 1 again in Rodrigues. The procurement exercise for these ice-making machines have been completed. My ministry is working on the logistics required for the setting up of these ice-making machines. Mr. Speaker, sir, by using ice, the quality of fish is maintained as fresh as possible. The primary objective is to prevent spoilage and therefore ensure food security. Clearly, the better quality that fish that reaches the final market, the better the price achieved for our fisher community, which means better quality, more money for our fishers.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. But being given the importance of ice in the value chain, will the Minister give an indication how this vital equipment is put to the disposal and good use of the fishermen?
Mr. Speaker, sir, in fact, this project aims at better management of fish quality, and it is intended to provide ice to fishers during their fishing expedition, during landing and processing operation, and as well as for sale, during their sale operation, and also for transporting fish from fish landing station to other markets. Thus, of course, it will ensure the importance of ice in the value chain to keep the freshness of the catch.
Next question.
B317.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry has on 14th of April 2023, means just last week, received a representation from the fishers community of Baie des Rhônets, indicating the poor working conditions and lack of appropriate structure for the registered fishers operating thereat. We have not received any representation with regard a property development project that may hinder the fishing activities thereat. Mr. Speaker, sir, as per the GN number 18 of 1983, there are 61 areas around the island which have been prescribed as fish landing stations. Out of the 61 fish landing stations, there are 16 with jetty facilities, 14 with fish sheds, and the remaining are open fish landing stations. All these fish landing stations have mooring facilities. An open fish landing station means a designated landing zone with mooring facilities where fishermen are allowed to land their fish and operate from the shoreline. Baie des Rhônets is one among those which was not provided with a jetty and a fish shed. However, in Baie des Rhônets, there is an existing old jetty which was previously used by sand extractors. Since the abolition of sand extraction in 2001, this sand landing jetty is being used by the fishermen community. With time, there has been a deterioration of the old jetty. Mr. Speaker, sir, unfortunately, my ministry cannot carry out immediately repairs as the jetty is not vested with my ministry. Anyway, my ministry will consult the Minister of Housing and Land Use to look into the possibility of vesting this jetty in my ministry so that we can proceed with the repairs pending a major refurbishment and installation of facilities being envisaged. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also informed by the EDB that on 13 April 2018, a private company was issued with a property development scheme certificate for the development of apartments, pet house, and amenities on freehold land of an extent of 17 acres at Saint-Antoine under the PDS scheme, and which is adjacent to the jetty, which is being used as embarkation and disembarkation point by fishers of Baie des Rhônets. The private company has submitted a development proposal to the EDB to carry out the following works: refurbishment works for the existing jetty, installation of floating jetty to ease boat to berth and wind protection, and construction of a new ramp for boat launching at sea. I'm further informed that a first meeting was convened by the EDB on 3rd of March 2023 at Baie des Rhônets site to discuss the above-mentioned proposals. Same was attended by officers by my ministry and other stakeholders, including representatives of the Ministry of Housing, the District Council, the promoter, and fishermen from the locality. Further consultative meetings with regard to this project have been scheduled with all stakeholders, including fishermen community of Baie des Rhônais. Once the project plan is finalized, my ministry will initiate the necessary procedures to have the required extent of land to be vested under my ministry for this project. In fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm made to understand that as per condition of the project, the fishermen of that region and the public shall have access to the site at all times during the implementation of the project.
Merci. Dans leur correspondance adressée aux ministres, les pêcheurs, les demandes des pêcheurs sont simples. D'abord, pouvoir avoir accès à la plage publique, que la plage soit décrétée plage publique. D'ailleurs, j'ai adressé une question au ministre du Tourisme qui paraît sur la liste des questions d'aujourd'hui. Et troisièmement, réaménagement et réhabilitation de la landing station qui tombe sous le ministère de l'économie bleue. Et ces demandes datent depuis 2017, soit 6 ans de cela. Le ministre peut-il informer la Chambre pourquoi il y a tant de temps qui est passé et que rien n'a été fait jusqu'à maintenant?
Mr. Speaker, sir, as I just explained with regard to the project being implemented by the private sector. In fact, we had informal information that there is a proposal with regard by the promoter for upgrading the facilities for the fishermen. So it's only now at the phase 4 stage of the project that the issue with regard to upgrading the facilities for the fishermen is being, meetings are being held by the EDB and of course consultation or also with the fishermen and other stakeholders, and they're working on the project. Once everybody agreed to the proposals, then obviously it will come to us for the implementation.
Est-ce que le ministre peut donner la garantie à la Chambre que les facilities qui seront accordées aux pêcheurs comprennent également le réaménagement et la réhabilitation de la landing station? Si oui, combien de temps cela va prendre?
Mr. Speaker, sir, in fact, as I explained, the Baie des Rhônais was an open fish landing station, which means that there were no jetties. The jetty was used by the sand extractors. Of course, the fishermen use it after the abolition, as explained, of sand extraction. We have received the request, and being given that there is a request to upgrade that the place for the fishermen and even for the public also. So we are working on that, Mr. Speaker. So let's the committee, EDB, and all stakeholders finalize the project. Then we will entail with the Ministry of Housing, which is one of the in that committee. And then, of course, once the land is vested to my ministry, then only we can start the project.
Table has been advised that PQB 386, B 358, B 385, B 348, B 372, B 360, B 382, B 362, B 342, B 374 have been withdrawn. Next question.
B 319.
No? Which one?
Been referred to PM.
Honorable MP Boulel, I already made an announcement this morning. Your question has been transferred to. I already made the announcement. Maybe you were not here. Should I? Let me apologize in your place. Please, who was the next one? Next question.
B319.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the Municipal Council of Port Louis that it had retained the services of a consultant to provide its service for the project of multi-sport, complex and music school at the first floor level of the existing Abercrombie Market Fair building, Port Louis. Bids for same were invited on the 22nd of October 2018 through open national bidding. The closing date for the submission of proposal was on the 10th of December 2018. After the selection exercise, a joint venture, namely JV Pixel Lux Consult, was selected for the provision of consultancy services. The contract was signed between the Council and JV Pixel team on the 4th of July 2019. The consultant prepared and submitted the bidding document for the project, which was then forwarded to the Central Procurement Board for vetting and launching of bids. After vetting of the bidding document by the CPB, the bids for the construction work were launched on the 10th of December 2020 through open national bidding. And the closing date for the submission of the bids was on the 8th of February 2021. Evaluation was carried out at CPB, and the successful bidder was AWL Trading and Contracting Company Limited. The contract was signed on the 13th of July 2021 for an amount of rupees 68,747,955 rupees, excluding VAT. The site was handed over on the 4th of August 2021. Subsequently, the contractor mobilized on site and work started. Site meetings were held fortnightly. During a site meeting on the 8th of December 2021, a health inspector of the council who is in charge of the Abercrombie Market Fair informed that debris had fallen onto the market area and dust was settling on foods and other items of the market vendors. A site visit was carried out on the 9th of December 2021 to assess the severity of the comment of the health inspector in the presence of the consultant, the contractor, and the employer. An instruction was given to the contractor by the project manager to provide safety measures for works being carried out at the parking side. On the 9th of December 2021, the project manager sent a letter to AWL Trading and Contracting Limited issuing a stop order for a specific part of the building under construction. On the same day, AWL Trading and Contracting Limited replied to the project manager on remedial action and reservation in connection with a stop order for the concerned parts. Several letters were exchanged between the consultant and the contractor. On the 22nd of December 2021, the Municipal Council of Port Louis sought legal advice from its legal advisor on the dispute, and on the 29th of December 2021, the latter has advised as follows. Council is therefore advised to inform the consultant that pursuant to the information received from CIDB to the effect that at all material time, JV Pixel team does not hold a temporary registration certificate for the present project, you have willfully, knowingly, and unlawfully acted both in breach of clause 1.8 of the ITC as well as in breach of section 19 of CIDB Act, which renders the present contract void ab initio. You are hereby informed that the post of consultant of JV Pixel team is therefore rescinded with immediate effect. As the consultant was not agreeable to the erection of a roof metal structure and had refused to certify payment claim, the Council sought legal advice from its legal advisor on the 20th of September 2022, and the latter had on the 27th of October 2022 advised as follows. A. Contemplate whether to act according to advice dated on the 1st of June 2022, already submitted by Mr. Wong of Council, as regards the way forward with the contract of the consultant. B, alternatively, have the council engineering team hold an informal conciliation meeting with the engineers and the technical team of both the contractor and the consultant respectively, and reach a solution as how to finalize and cost-effective and practical, how to finalize in a cost-effective and practical way to complete the project in a safe and time-effective manner. C, to waive the cost of termination of the contractor's contract as opposed to that of the consultant, and find a technical way forward which is less costly, namely to have the project completed safely and supervised by its own engineering team as suggested by MNICD. Based on the legal advice obtained, the Council had, in a letter dated 13th of December 2022, informed the consultant, GV Pixel team, that its contract with the Municipal Council is being treated as null and void. Following dispute between the consultant and contractor on the soundness of the roof metal structure erected by the contractor, government decided to appoint a technical team from the Ministry of National Infrastructure and Community Development to assess the soundness of the metal roof structure. The report of the technical team approves the erection of the metal roof structure with some reinforcement measures. Following several meetings held with the contractor to resolve the issues, the stop order was waived on the 12th of December 2022 in order to ensure that the site is in a safe and secure condition. The contractor has, on the 27th of February 2023, informed the Council that although the stop order was waived, the latter is not in a position to resume work with regard to the structural roof, due to several pending issues, such as determination of revised completion date, associated cost, and revision of the contract price due to consolidation work, as recommended by the technical team of the MNICD, that has to be implemented on the ground floor. Once the design of the consolidation work has been finalized, the Municipal Council requested a quotation from the contractor for the implementation of the consolidation work on the 28th of March 2023. A meeting was held on the 12th of April 2023, where the legal advisors of the Council, the contractor, and the officers of the technical team of MNICD were present to sort out the pending issues and other bottlenecks. However, an agreement could not be reached on the outstanding matters, and the contractor stated that in such a case, it would be better to mutually terminate the contract. The Council has, in its Executive Council held on the 19th of April 2023, decided to seek legal advice on whether it would be in the interest of the Council to mutually terminate the contract with the contractor, AWL Trading and Contracting Limited, and the way forward to successfully complete the project. A reply is still being awaited.
Ça fait 10 mois que le chantier est à l'arrêt, Monsieur le ministre. Valeur du contrat, 78,2 millions incluant de la VAT. Supposé terminer août 2022. Honorable Vice Prime Minister, can you please inform the House whether, as of now, the Municipal Council of Port Louis are in presence of several claims from the contractor?
Just mention it in my
A, 35.07 million for idle time. B, 51.75 million for reinforcement of the base. And C, 20.7 million for extended time, which brings to 185 million rupees.
I've just mentioned, I've explained there's a lot of dispute going on, and the contractor have decided to stop working, and we'll have to wait and see how things develop, because the Council has contacted their legal advisor to decide on the way forward.
Honorable Minister, in a meeting held on the 20th of December 2022, au siège du ministre des Infrastructures publiques, Mr. A.B. Farzan, lead engineer, stated that a survey had been carried out in the existing building. On the ground floor, and based on the visual inspection made, there was a high possibility that reinforcements would have to be considered in the existing building so that it can sustain the loads of the first floor. Monsieur le vice-premier ministre, est-ce que les maraîchers et les personnes qui visitent régulièrement la foire à Abercrombie courent le risque de voir le bâtiment s'effondrer?
Speaker, sir, I mean, that's what the issue is about. Because
Keep it.
I've just mentioned there has been a lot of dispute between the contractor, the consultant, and the council. I've mentioned that in my reply. And I've mentioned as well that the consultant has stopped working on the site and they have been replaced by MNI, by engineers from MNI who has said that reinforcement work has to be done at the ground floor level. And but following that, the contractor has stopped working and he has sent this claim which you have just mentioned.
Next question.
B 320.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that for the region of Pamplemousse-Triolet, constituency number 5, the LDA has earmarked a total amount of 1.9 billion for the construction and rehabilitation of some 111 drains under the National Flood Management Program over a period of 3 financial years. The projects are being implemented by the NDU, the RDA, and the District Council of Pamplemousse. I'm informed by the District Council of Pamplemousse they have awarded a contract to the tune of 16,697,000 rupees in April 2022 to Best Care Limited for the construction of absorption drains in the region of Terre Rouge, Beige-Tombeau, Pamplemousse, Calbas, D'Épinay, Troubiche, and Triolet, works which were completed in July 2022. I'm further informed there are 8 ongoing projects, out of which 5 are being implemented by the NDU and 3 by the RDA for a total amount of 513 million rupees. The projects being implemented by the NDU are as follows. Flood mitigation measures at Belle-Source, Pamplemousse, awarded to Square Deal Multipurpose Cooperative Society for an amount of 69 million rupees. Construction of attenuation basin at an enlargement of road at Camp-la-Cloche, Pointe-au-Pima, awarded to Sotravic Limited for an amount of 114 million rupees. Road widening and drain works at Jouvence d'Épinay awarded to Square Deal Multipurpose Cooperative Society for an amount of 51 million rupees. Construction of drains and resurfacing of part of Route du Jardin Pamplemousse awarded to Best Construct Limited for an amount of 28 million rupees. And construction of drains and resurfacing of Kalimai Lane, Calbas Branch Road, Arsenal, awarded to Square Deal Multipurpose Cooperative Society for an amount of 35 million rupees. As regard to the RDA, the following projects are ongoing, namely, construction of Fropier Bridge, Canton Nancy, awarded to Gamma Civic Limited for an amount of 33.4 million rupees. And this is a very important project in this constituency, Mr. Speaker, sir. It's about increasing the hydraulic capacity of that bridge for us to be able to solve that, to mitigate the flooding problem in that region. And here I need to thank my honorable friend, Sudesh Kalichan, who've been instrumental in getting this project done, and also the PPS of the region. Refurbishment of footpath and drains in the district of Pamplemousse awarded to Safety Construction for an amount of 9.9 million rupees. Construction of bridge and footpath at Pont-Bruniquel awarded to General Construction for an amount of 171 million rupees. Example? India.
Thank you.
No way.
You see, you're in good mood and I'm in trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House if a master plan for constituency number 5 is available for implementation of the drain, and if so, from which year it is available? Because following my PQ last year, PB608, I have been informed that 2.8 billion rupees have been allocated for the implementation of 115 drains project by the NDU and ODA. Is there any master plan for the constituency number 5?
Yes, we have, my honorable friend will agree that we have, as I mentioned, the National Flood Management Program. And under this program, all the drain that has to be done, we have around 1,700 drains that need to be built around the country. And for the constituency number 5, we have 111 drains that need to be constructed. And currently, we are doing those big mitigation measures at Canton Nancy, at Belle-Source, Caen-la-Cloche. And obviously, we are observing how they are behaving in several rainfalls. And this is a very dynamic situation. And we might need more, we might need less eventually. But there is a plan that after we have done our digital elevation model, now we can see where are the natural drain courses and what has been blocked, what needs to be unblocked, and we are working according to this. Thank you.
Can the Honourable Minister inform the House what percentage of drain according to the master plan has been completed, and also indicate the average cost of the recent drain per linear meter which is being paid to the contractors?
No, I think my honourable colleague is asking for quite some technical information that I don't have with me, but we can provide. But suffice it to say that you will agree, I've said that there was 1.9 billion that we should spend over the next 3 financial year, which take us to about 600 million per year, financial year. And as at to date, what has completed and what is ongoing, we are at 513 million rupees. So we are almost on target for this financial year.
Next question.
B321. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House will appreciate that the question of the honourable gentleman, as formulated, refers to each and every consultant appointed by the NSLD since its incorporation, requesting for each and every consultant, firstly, the purpose of appointment, secondly, fees claimed, thirdly, fees paid. So I am informed by the NSLD that given the very wide scope of the question and the detailed nature of the information sought, compilation of relevant data is a time-consuming exercise, but I can assure the gentleman, the honourable gentleman, that once available, the information requested will be placed in the Library of the National Assembly.
Committee stage 3 weeks ago, the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister gave an undertaking to provide those information, and now he's not providing those information. So may I at least know, for the 8 consultants who had been appointed following the tender, the second tender, the first one was cancelled, the second tender, the 8 consultants, for these 8 consultants, whether their contract has been terminated and how much had been paid to them?
During the committee stage, the points raised by the leader of the opposition related specifically to the, what are they called, PMCCs, Project Management, I don't have the exact term, the PMCCs. And I undertook to communicate this information as soon as possible, and shall do so, with the amounts, I don't know if the right term is claimed, but the amounts provided for under the respective contracts and how much has been paid out.
Deputy Prime Minister, tell us whether the contract of these 8 consultants who have been retained, been terminated now that his ministry and this new social housing living development company has decided go by way of design and build projects. So do you still require this consultant? If you don't require this consultant, has the contract been terminated and how much money is being paid to them?
So, had the question been drafted in that manner, yes, I would have provided the information available. I can't refer to the precise figure at this stage. I have requested the NSLD to calculate the precise figures, and I understand there is a dynamic picture. This is ongoing. Yes, if the House will bear with me, Mr. Speaker, I believe there were indeed 8 PMCCs that were contracted initially. One of these PMCCs had its contract terminated well before the decision to opt for design and build because the NSLD was not satisfied with the services it offered. I'm speaking from memory. As regards to 7 others, yes, their contracts have been terminated when it appeared that the only way to go forward with the construction of social housing units would be to opt for the design and build approach. So their precise role was no longer relevant.
No, it's okay. 2 questions. We are limiting. No. Next question.
B322.
MP Kiren.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the Land Drainage Authority that they are carrying out a survey for the whole region of Albion, including most les vues d'Albion and its splendid view, with a view to implementing measures to prevent and mitigate flooding thereat. The catchment under study ranges from Gros Caillou upstream towards the different residential areas in Albion. The initial observation made are as follows. Firstly, flooding issues are mainly due to the overflow of the Magenta irrigation channel during heavy rainfall, which flows along existing drainage paths and roads to Mont-Selman Richwood, a splendid view, les vues d'Albion, and the adjoining residential areas. Secondly, the Magenta channel is not adequate to take the surface runoff and overflows during heavy rainfall. Thirdly, the surface runoffs from the upper land of Albion are directed toward the Magenta channel and toward the residential Mont-Selman at a splendid view and others. And there are no adequate drainage infrastructure in the Mont-Selman, les vues d'Albion, Richwood, and a splendid view. The issues pertains to the size of the drains in those Mont-Selman. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Land Drainage Authority is now finalizing the alignment of a cut-off drain upstream of the impacted region as a preliminary and urgent measure to protect the downstream residential areas, including Mont-Selman, les vues d'Albion, and a splendid view. Once the alignment is finalized, the NDU will proceed with the appointment of a consultant for, firstly, to study Rivière-Belle-Eau and the problem of flooding in the region of Gros Caillou toward Albion, and secondly, for the implementation of the cut-off drain. Consequently, major drain works to prevent and mitigate flooding are expected to start next financial year, once the detailed design report are finalized and approved by the Land Drainage Authority. As immediate measures, the Land Drainage Authority has requested the District Council of Black River to proceed with urgent cleaning of drains in the residential areas and the replacement of the slabs covers of drain with metal gratings so as to increase the absorption capacity of the drain to surface water. In addition, I have been informed that the Road Development Authority has carried out the construction of a new twin culvert 14 meters by 1.2 meter along Albion approach B105 near Morselman Splendid View. The value of the project was 5 million rupees, and the project was completed 22nd April 2021. The NDU had also carried out the cleaning and desilting of river Belle-Eau, Albion in 2019. Thank you.
Monsieur le Président, tout indique qu'une des causes principales d'inondation dans ces régions est le canal Magenta qui déborde en période de grosses pluies. De ce fait, l'honorable ministre peut-il nous dire, en attendant que débutent les travaux de construction de drains adéquats, si la Land Drainage Authority compte draguer ce canal pour éviter tout débordement éventuel?
Mr. Speaker, sir, my honorable colleague will agree that Magenta Canal belongs to private owners, and there are several owners, and is being maintained by Syndic. And at the LDA level, we have, yes, issuing enforcement notice to the Syndic to make sure that they clean the canal as often as possible so as to prevent any mishap in the future.
Président, il me semble évident que les drains qui ont été construits dans le passé dans ces morcellements à Albion sont totalement inappropriés vu l'envergure de ces régions. De ce fait, l'honorable ministre peut-il nous dire quelles sont les conditions que le Morcellement Board impose à tout promoteur par rapport à l'aménagement de drains avant qu'un permis de développement soit octroyé?
Mr. Speaker, sir, this government in 2018 created the LDA. And from then, the LDA is now sitting on the Morcellement Board and giving his views regarding drainage facilities around those Morcellement and make sure that when permits are being issued, that there are proper drainage facilities. Unfortunately, the main issue here is Morcellement Richwood, for which a permit was given on 19 February 2014. And as I've clearly stated, at that time, there was no Land Drainage Authority, and drainage was not being an issue for those giving those permits at that time. And so they have given a permit to a Morcellement without proper drainage infrastructure. So today it's this government having to come and remedy. And I thank you for your support in. Thank you.
The table has been advised that PQB 333, B361, B340, B359, B376, B390, B352, B369, B334, B351, B387 have been withdrawn. Next question.
B323.
Mr. Speaker, sir, as I mentioned in my reply to PQB 321 earlier, as regards the detailed information concerning contracts with consultants, this has been compiled and will be placed in the library. However, I'll try and be helpful. I presume that the honourable member is referring to a specific category of consultants, the PMCCs, Project Management Consultants in Construction. I got it right this time. In which case, I am informed by the NSLD, the new Social Living Development Limited, that contracts were initially awarded to 8 PMCCs, as per the normal practice for major construction projects, both in the public sector and the private sector. There are tasks entrusted to PMCCs at the feasibility stage, preparing designs, as the honourable gentleman is well aware, designs, tendering, and so on, and then for the actual monitoring of construction. This is what I've been informed. Now, I'm asked whether the contracts with the PMCCs, I presume you are referring to PMCCs, not to all consultants, whether they have been terminated. Yes, they have been terminated. I'm also asked to indicate the terms. I presume this means the terms of each and every contract of PMCCs. This will be laid in the Library of the National Assembly as soon as it is available. And I am asked about the quantum of compensation. There has been no compensation as such paid to the PMCCs.
We all know what we are talking about. 8 consultants were recruited, but they failed to provide social housing as per requirement of government. And as such, these consultants had an initial contract of about 1 billion rupees, but in not being able to provide what the government wanted them to provide, their contracts have been terminated and public funds have been paid to them. And my information is it is 300 million rupees. Can I ask the Honourable Minister to confirm to the House that these 8 PMCCs or whatever we call them have been paid 300 million rupees, and there is the fear that further claims can be expected from them, and the measures being taken by the NSLD to mitigate this eventuality?
Right. Let me provide whatever information I have at this stage. 8 PMCCs, one of these PMCCs, as I explained earlier to Honourable Mr. Otim MP, one of them had his contract terminated earlier due to non-satisfaction, I believe, of the NSLD. As regards the 7 others, they performed whatever task was in their contract up until the time when 2 successive bidding exercises yielded prices that were excessively high. I'm not qualified to say whether the blame should attach to the consultants or to the bidders or to the state of the market. What? I'm sorry.
No, don't disturb.
Maybe the gentleman has a point of order?
Don't disturb. Continue. Honourable Boulel.
I would appreciate not being interrupted, Mr. Speaker, just as I did not interrupt Honourable Usman Mohamed. So what I was saying was that we had, and I explained this earlier, 2 unsuccessful bidding exercises, and government had the choice. Either to give up and to say, as many other governments across the world, and Jessica Ardern's government is a perfect example, to give up and say, COVID has happened, we don't have the funds, we're not going ahead. And we would have ended up, just as the Labour Party did between 2005 and 2014. Right, we chose not to do that. We chose to find ways and means of proceeding. And that is why we opted for a different approach, which is the design and build approach. Now, in that perspective, you cannot have consultants who do the design. That is logical. So the contracts had to be terminated. Now, the Honourable Gentleman quoted a figure of 1 billion. I do not have that information, and I will provide the exact figures as soon as they are available. The gentleman also referred to a figure of, if I heard him right, 300 million that had been paid to all the 8... I'm sorry. If the Honourable Gentleman is not willing to listen, then I can stop here. Right, so let me say it again. The gentleman suggests that 300 million would have been paid to these 8 PMCCs. I do not have that figure. It might be less, it might be more. I do not have the figure. As soon as it becomes available, it will be laid in the National Assembly. Now, what I want to point out, and this is very important, and I trust that my honourable colleagues of the other side of the House are all of good faith. So what I would like to inform the House is that those PMCCs did what they were paid for. So they did the topographical surveys, the geotechnical investigations, they oversaw the feasibility studies, they sought the preliminary clearances from authorities, preliminary master plans of sites, assessment of extent of off-site works. Now, all that information produced by the PMCCs are being used by the NSLD. All that information is being placed at the disposal of the contractors so that whatever has been paid to the PMCCs, and I understand there is no compensation, but there is a prorated assessment of works undertaken, so that work will be of use, is already of use, to the NSLD and to the contractors within the new approach.
I am quite baffled by the fact that the minister can now, after this,
No, but don't comment. Put question.
compared to the Labour Party's performance. Now, can I ask him, direct question, whether this prorated assessment of 300 million rupees, in addition to the 200 million rupees that the NSLD has consumed since its existence, totaling ₹500 million rupees, of sunk cost, can I ask him whether he will be humble enough to tell the House that himself and the team at the NSLD have failed?
This is not. I don't know if you're going to answer this.
I would like to answer, Mr. Speaker. I would very much like. I am indeed very humble. And I always am, and which is why I will tell you that social housing is a huge challenge for any government. And there is no guarantee of success. The more so at a time of COVID. But this government is committed and will do all it takes to succeed in the achievement of its ambition. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I did refer to the example of the Labour Party because in the whole of the history of Mauritius, this was the worst period in terms of social housing. And even without, please bear with me. Please bear with me. The gentleman was at liberty to speak of failure, so please let me answer. The number of houses built by the NHDC since this government took office in November 2018 is already equal to the number of houses built by the Labour Party between 2005 and 2014. So the facts are there and we can compare. So let me go back to what the Honourable Gentleman was saying, and I don't want to let this pass unrebutted. The Honourable Gentleman is quoting figures for which he assumes responsibility. I do not have these figures pertaining to either the cost, the amount paid, the quantum paid to the 8 PMCCs. This will be provided in the National Assembly. I do not have figures pertaining to the operation of the NSLD since it came into existence. But whatever these are, I dispute the fact that you call them sunk costs. Whatever costs incurred by the NSLD have been productive and will contribute to the eventual construction of social housing units for the poorer members of the community.
Next question.
B324, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, following a request for proposal exercise which was launched by my ministry on the 29th of October 2020, a notification of contract award was made to the joint venture Laxman Bai and Company, Mauritius Limited, and Manchester Saxon Contracting Limited on the 15th of September 2021. However, following legal advice obtained, the contract had to be cancelled prior to the submission of the detailed design of the project by the joint venture, since the latter has made counter-proposal, most of which were outside the ambit of the request for proposal and the letter of awards. My ministry has reworked out the request for proposal document for the project in consultation with the different stakeholders concerned, and same has been launched on the 6th of April 2023. The closing date for the submission of the request for proposal is Wednesday, the 5th of July 2023.
May I? May I ask the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, as it stands, we had a promoter, now we do not have a promoter for the construction of the Vakwa Urban Terminal. May we know, in the new request for proposal that has been circulated on the 6th of April 2023, what is different from the previous request for proposal? Because you are inviting private investment, and as per my information, these are the same requests for proposal. So what novel approach have you been put forward in this new request for proposal to promote private investment in this Vakwa Urban Terminal?
As I mentioned at the beginning, Mr. Speaker, sir, the joint venture made a number of counter-proposals which was not, most of which was outside the ambit of the request for proposal. Now, in the latest one that has been, the latest proposal, we have three different, it's not like before. At the beginning, we have a set of requirements for the urban terminal. But now we have decided to change the request for proposal is to have three different proposals. If the promoter can supply or provide all the amenities requested by the municipal council. That's the first issue. The first option. Second option, there was a decreased number of options. And the third one is that we leave it to the promoter to provide a project their project, but so long as it has a number of, basically, it caters for the people working in the market, the number of bus terminal, a number of bus based, and the taxi drivers and things like that. So minimums that we ask. So they can provide a project which they think best themselves, we give them a lot of leeway to provide something which they feel is a better option. We have given, as I mentioned, three options. One is a maximum number of requirement, and one is a minimum requirement. It's up to them to provide, and we are going to assess them accordingly.
May I refer the Honourable Vice Prime Minister to a previous PQ B1045. You mentioned that the promoter is expected to start the construction works after signature of the lease agreement for the rental of the land and the finalization of the detailed design of the project. So now this is a completely new facet that you are putting, because Manchester Saxon and Laxman Bai were on the verge to start construction upon finalization of the lease agreement. So now with those new approach, has this been canvassed with the entrepreneur and the inhabitants of the township of Vakwa Phoenix that there will now be a new form of the Vakwa Urban Terminal that will integrate all the issues that you have mentioned earlier?
Actually, as I mentioned, it was cancelled because I've told you about the counter proposal which was given by the promoter. That's why it was cancelled. But now, to give more, because the last time you had only one promoter, now to give chances to many more promoters, they can bid for the project, that particular project. That's why we have changed, we have put different options. So you're going to provide this, and according to the options I'm going to provide, we are going to assess the project on the different options I'm going to provide. And that's the same one we are providing for Catbourne as well.
Next question.
B 325.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the Municipal Council of Aqua Phoenix that it has a fleet of 18 lorries engaged in scavenging services, out of which 12 are in running condition, whereas 5 lorries are under repairs. 1 lorry has been recommended to be scrapped as it has completed 13 years of its economic lifespan. Although 6 lorries are not actually in use, some regions, namely Menil, Hermitage, Glen Park, Castell, Lacavienne, John Kennedy, Holyrood, and Main Road of Phoenix and Vaqua Town Centre are being provided with twice weekly scavenging services. The other regions are being provided with once weekly scavenging services. Moreover, I wish to inform the House that my ministry has invited bids for procurement of scavenging lorries, and 2 lorries, a minimum of 2 lorries, will be provided to the Municipal Council of Vaqua Phoenix upon successful award of the contract. The Central Procurement Board has approved the award of the contract on the 18th of April 2023, and my ministry is in the process of notifying the successful and unsuccessful bidders.
Le Président. Et à la semaine dernière, il y avait 7 camions qui étaient en réparation, donc 7 camions sur 18 quand même. Cela impacte directement sur la qualité du service de voirie. Des régions comme Solferino, Phoenix ou Carole-Alliane sont pénalisées. Je sais, Monsieur le ministre, Monsieur le vice-premier ministre, que la réparation prend du temps et la réparation sont entreprises par la municipalité. Est-ce que ce n'est pas mieux pour la municipalité de outsource la réparation de ces camions, comme cela se fait pour la voiture du maire, qui est outsource à l'extérieur, le servicing. Donc, pour ne pas prendre du temps et ne pas pénaliser la ville de Vaqua Phoenix, qui est extrêmement sale parce que les déchets sont sur la rue, de outsource ce travail de la réparation des camions.
Firstly, I would like to mention that the inhabitants of Vaqua Phoenix are not being penalized. A lot of places we have twice weekly services. Most of the places it's once weekly services, and we did not get any complaint. That's number one. Secondly, as far as outsourcing, that will depend on the council. It's for them to decide how they're going to manage their fleet. As I mentioned, you mentioned 7 lorries. As they told me, only 5 were under repairs.
Monsieur le vice-premier ministre, nous parlons d'une ville qui quand même est la Manhattan ou le Manhattan de l'île Maurice. Dans les camions que vous avez cités, Monsieur le ministre, 3 camions. Vous allez pouvoir vérifier avec la municipalité. Je voudrais savoir 3 camions, 5Z122, 5Z126, 5Z127, 3 camions qui sont en service d'après vos chiffres. Ces 3 camions, Monsieur le ministre, je voudrais savoir si vous êtes au courant de cela. Ces 3 camions, le chauffeur, les éboueurs qui sont dans la cabine du chauffeur, en temps de pluie, ils sont obligés de se protéger avec un parapluie dans la cabine du chauffeur. Dans les 3 camions que vous avez cités, qui sont en service, pour vous dire, est-ce possible de voir avec la municipalité si ces 3 camions sont toujours, on peut dire, en service ou il faudra envoyer pour la réparation?
I didn't have that information, but I'll have to check on that. But having said that, I've just mentioned you're going to get a minimum of 2 more lorries now, because we have already got that tender board has already decided who is going to provide the service. We are going to get more lorries in the coming weeks. So that's going to help to palliate the situation.
Next question. B326, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Metro Express Limited that there are 7 passenger lifts at 4 metro stations as follows. 1 at Portrush Victoria Station, 2 at Coromandel Station, 2 at Rosehill Central Station, and 2 at Q-Pip Central Station. I am further advised that Mansa Saxon Contracting Limited has been awarded the contract for the installation and commissioning of these passenger lifts by the service provider of the Metro Express project, that is Lawson & Toubro Limited, during the implementation of the project. As regards to part A of the question, I am informed that Mansa Saxon Contracting Limited is responsible for the maintenance of the passenger lifts. It is to be noted that after the completion of each phase of the Metro Express project, Larsen & Toubro Limited provided a warranty period of 1 year. In the same spirit, after the lifts were installed and handed over to Metro Express Limited by L&T, the latter ensured that the lifts were covered with a 1 year warranty by Manser Saxon Contracting Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, as the preventive and corrective maintenance of this lift required skills which were outside the competencies of the Metro Express team, the Metro Express Limited entered into a maintenance service agreement with Manser Saxon Contracting Limited, which is the only local representative of the Otis brand, the original equipment manufacturer, with effect from 1st January 2021 in order not to compromise with the quality of the maintenance. The maintenance works are carried out on a monthly basis by Manser Saxon Contracting Limited in accordance with the maintenance service agreement. The Metro Express Limited, being the owner of these lifts, is legally responsible for public safety at the 7 passenger lifts. Accordingly, lift tests are carried out twice daily by the Metro Express Limited, one at night and the other one in the morning, to ensure that they are in good working conditions. Mr. Speaker, sir, as regard to Part B of the question, the yearly maintenance contract value amounts to 876,990 rupees, inclusive of VAT.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Minister must be aware of an incident that occurred on the 11th of March where nearly 8 passengers were trapped in the lifts. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he has been made aware by the maintenance company, the so-called, you said, Manser Saxon, why the emergency button was not working and no response was available, subsequently to which crowbar had to be used to secure the safety of passengers?
Speaker, sir, this is the information I have, and I'm thankful to the Honourable Member for giving me the possibility to shed light on this incident. In fact, on this Saturday, 11th of March this year at 8:59 a.m., 8 students were trapped in the passenger lift located at platform 2 of the Coromandel metro station. The passenger lift was stuck midway between the first and ground level, and being alerted at 9:01 a.m., the Operations Control Center was alerted and activated the rapid response emergency protocols. At 9:10 a.m., the Operations and Maintenance Team, the OCC Police, Edmond Security Team, and the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services proceeded with the lift rescue operation in accordance with the procedure in the lift manual. Once the passenger lift was brought near ground level, the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service tried to open the door. It happened, according to my information, due to a wrong maneuver, while using the lift key, the door could not be opened and the Fire and Rescue Services had to force open the door. The 8 students were safely evacuated at 9:28 a.m. and the incident was resolved within 30 minutes. According to the Metro Express Limited, sir, lift tests were effected, as is the standing practice, twice daily by the O&M team at night on Friday 10th March 2023 and during the early morning 6:45 a.m. on Saturday 11th March, and the lift was functioning. Manser Saxon Contracting Limited, who, as I just said, is the sole supplier service provider in Mauritius for Otis Limited, also carries out its maintenance on a monthly basis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Honourable Minister will surely appreciate that in excess of 5 billion rupees have been used of taxpayers' money to implement the Metro Express services in Mauritius. And it is, and as you just said in your reply, twice daily there are maintenance and checks. How come the emergency button did not work?
As I said, Mr. Speaker, sir, there was a diagnosis report from Manser Saxon Contracting Limited, and according to this report, the incident happened due to a loss of door contact registered by the safety circuit unit, thus stopping the cabin midway. And in fact, the report, in fact, is very clear, Mr. Speaker, sir. I quote, the error log was sent to Otis on the 13th of March, and the advice of the root cause is most likely due to the loss of door contact registered by the safety circuit.
The table has been advised that PQ B339, B373, B343, B365, B335, B391, B337, B364, B331, B356 have been withdrawn. Next question.
B327.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed that the Office of Public Sector Governance submitted a report on misallocation of royalties by the Mauritius Society of Authors on 30th of September 2021. Following the submission of the report by the OPSG, a committee was set up to look into the following. Firstly, the possibility of internal control unit to conduct an inquiry into the financial affairs of MAZA, and secondly, the proposal to review its organizational structure. Accordingly, a technical team was set up at the level of my ministry to examine the recommendations of the report of the OPSG. Thereafter, it came up with an action plan with specific deadlines. The action plan, which was a very concise version of the report, was discussed with the then director of MAZA for him to take actions as appropriate. Mr. Speaker, sir, amongst other matters, the report of the OPSG highlighted a potential case of overpayment made to certain officers. My ministry will be sharing the report of the OPSG with MAZA for it to implement the recommendations contained therein, as well as to take any action it deemed necessary, including any action, if needs be, in the potential case of overpayment. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that, in respect of any overpayment made to any officer, such amount is recouped from the salary of the officer.
May we know from the Minister what is the approved amount as a responsibility allowance that has been approved and paid to the officers? Is it fixed amount? Is it a variable amount? Because it is noted that this amount has changed from 2016, 2017, 18, and on the year goes. So can we know whether this amount is fixed, and if not, why not?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I will not have specific information, but what I'm made to understand, and I was informed that when you assume a certain additional duties, you either paid an increment, which is decided by the board, or there is another calculation made. But I will not venture into giving additional information on this because I don't have it with me. But this is established practice set out in the PRB report.
The Minister mentioned himself that the report was submitted in September 2021. We're now in 2023. Can you please enlighten the House whether you have done anything to recover the the overpayment from the officer that has been overpaid?
Mr. Speaker, sir, following submission of the report, I mentioned there was a committee that was set up to examine the findings and the recommendations. Thereafter, a technical team also was put in place to work on the action plan. So now that these elements are ready, these will be shared with MAZA for MAZA to take any action deemed necessary.
Time over.
Motion.
Motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Don't first say aye. Those against no. Aye. Ayes have it.
Statements by ministers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I wish to make a statement on the issue of flooding at the NHDC housing estate résidence Vétiver at Gros Caillou. Mr. Speaker, in August of 2018, the contract for the NHDC housing estate résidence Vétiver Gros Caillou was awarded to a CIDB registered contractor for the construction of 126 housing units. The consultant for the project was a reputable and well-established firm, and construction was completed in October 2021. The residence consists of 6 blocks of houses and comprises at present a community of some 378 individuals. Mauritius experienced heavy rainfall on 26th January and 27th January of this year. The rainfall caused flooding both on and off the premises in the vicinity of Résidence Vétiver, and some 35 housing units out of a total of 126 were reportedly affected. I am informed that the main cause of flooding within Résidence Vétiver was water flowing onto the NHDC site from adjoining plots of land belonging to a private party that caused a boundary wall of a stretch of over 15 meters of length to collapse. Immediate action was taken by the NHDC Limited in consultation with the residents, and there was a coordinated response from relevant services, namely the police, the fire services, and the special mobile force throughout the night of Thursday 26th January and the whole day of Friday 27th January 2023 until late in the evening. Mr. Speaker, following another night of heavy rainfall as from 17th March to 18th March 2023, the residents of Résidence Vétiver Gros Caillou informed the NHDC Limited that Housing Block F was affected by flooding. I'm further informed that on 4th April 2023, during heavy rainfall, there was accumulation of water in the yard of one particular housing unit at the NHDC premises at Gros Caillou. Now, short-term measures taken by the NHDC after the first instance of flooding included placing of 100 raffia bags filled with rock sand to prevent water from flowing onto the affected areas, excavation of a canal from Résidence Vétiver up to a plot of land belonging to Société Gros Caillou to divert water from the high-level point to a lower point near the NHDC, after the NHDC site, cleaning of the cut-off drain at the entrance of Résidence Vétiver and removal of debris, rehabilitation works including painting works for one particular unit, excavation of trenches to reach concrete drain underground towards the offside absorption pit. The NHDC Limited, I am informed, has now entrusted to a contractor responsibility to carry out the following: 1, excavation of a new retention pond at the low-lying point of the housing estate; 2, enlargement of the existing earth drain and the retention pond found downstream; and 3, modification of rainwater pipes at the rear of housing units to divert rainwater from rooftops to a common discharge point. And this work is expected to be completed by early May 2023. Now, Mr. Speaker, with a view to establishing the respective responsibility of parties concerned and to avoid any recurrence, I requested the NHDC Limited to set up a committee to investigate the causes of flooding at Résidence Vétiver Gros Caillou. I understand that the committee comprises a law practitioner, an architect, and an engineer, and that the committee is expected to submit its report in the near future. Now, the Land Drainage Authority has recommended excavation works and realignment in respect of a water path from the lowest point at Résidence Vétiver to an existing water path, thereby creating swales, that is, earthen canals, leading to a large retention pond. In addition, a plot of land will need to be acquired for implementation of the proposed swales within the next 3 months. I have requested the NHDC to closely monitor the situation at Résidence Vétiver to minimize risks of recurrence of the flooding incident in the short term and ensure that a permanent and lasting solution be found by addressing the root cause of the flooding problem and devising appropriate mitigation and/or remedial measures with the assistance of relevant technical services. As regards assistance provided to the families concerned, according to the Ministry of Social Integration and Social Security, 33 families at Résidence Vétiver have benefited from financial assistance of 250 rupees per member of each family. Secondly, in-kind donations comprising non-perishable foodstuff and kitchen utensils were effected to the households residing in units procured by the National Empowerment Foundation. And thirdly, non-governmental organizations have provided food assistance and mattresses to those most affected, and I wish here to express government's appreciation to these NGOs for their assistance. I thank you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for giving me permission to make this statement.
Could you please allow...
With your permission, I wish to make a statement apprising the House on the abolition of municipal tax on family homes. This government decided to abolish municipal tax on family homes since it was considered unfair that a family pays municipal tax on his residence solely because he lives in an urban area. The government took a commitment in 2019 to redress this anomaly, and in the budget speech 2022-23, it was announced that as from the 1st of July 2022, municipal tax on family home would be abolished. To implement this budgetary measure, my ministry had consultation with the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, the Attorney General's Office, the Valuation Department, as well as the municipal councils, to discuss on the best possible way to implement this decision. Following several consultations with all these institutions, it was decided to exempt all households owning a single house. In the event a household owned more than one house in any municipal area, it would be exempted only for the house which is the main residence of the owners. In case of mixed-use building, that is, buildings which are partly residential and partly industrial, or partly residential and commercial, exemption will be provided for the residential part of the building only. The local government exemption of municipal tax on family home regulation 2023 and the local government amendment of schedule regulation 2023 will be promulgated this month, and the regulation shall be deemed to have come into effect as from the 1st of July 2022. Around 115,000 households are concerned with this exemption of the payment of municipal tax, and this will amount to more than 124 million annually. I wish to thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for having given me the opportunity to enlighten the House with regard to this key measure implemented by this government for the welfare of the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you once again. Sir, the Yaoundé, Lomé and Cotonou agreements have provided the framework for ACP countries to export to the EU market. The Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, OACPS, formerly known as the ACP Group of Countries, have been negotiating a new partnership agreement with the EU that will succeed the Cotonou Agreement. In February of this year, Mauritius acceded to the chair of the OACPS, and I'm currently presiding the OACPS Council of Ministers for the term February to July 2023. I chaired for the first time a special virtual session of the OACPS Council of Ministers in my capacity as new president of the OACPS Council of Ministers on the 23rd March of this year. The objective of this special session was to, inter alia, update the Council on the status of the signing of the post-Cotonou Agreement, which is called the Samoa Agreement.
The post-Cotonou Agreement, sir, was initialed in April 2021. However, it has yet to be signed because of objections raised by one EU member state with regard to the new agreement. This EU member state, Hungary, had reservations on some provisions of the Samoa Agreement. It was refusing to sign the text of the agreement, which it considers to be pro-migration. This refusal had also to be seen in the broader context of the political and financial divergences between the EU and that member state on democratic values and rule of law, and the repeated vetoes that it is using, especially in the area of EU foreign policy. The position of that EU member state on migration and on return and readmission, and the divergence it had with the European Commission, led the OACPS to consider how to make progress on the signature of the post-Cotonou Agreement. As part of the lobbying exercise during the current Mauritius presidency of the OACPS Council of Ministers, I had written to the President in Office of the OACPS Summit, His Excellency Mr. João Manuel Gonçalves Lorenzo, President of Angola, on the 17th of February 2023, to take up the issue of the signature of the Samoa Agreement with the French President Macron during the latter's visit to Angola earlier this year. I also had discussions with His Excellency Mr. Antonio, Minister of External Affairs of Angola, in the margins of the AU Summit held in February of this year in Addis Ababa. I had also written to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of Hungary, His Excellency Mr. Peter Szijjártó, requesting for a meeting to discuss the issue of the signing of the Samoa Agreement. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that in response to my letter, His Excellency Peter Szijjártó, Hungarian Minister, agreed to my request and led a delegation to Mauritius from the 18th and 19th of April 2023. His delegation comprised, amongst others, of Mr. Gabo Eros, Member of Hungarian Parliament, Mr. Ajbej, State Secretary, His Excellency Ambassador Grigori Orvat, who presented his credentials to the President on the 17th of April 2023 at the State House. That the Hungarian Minister took time from his busy schedule to travel to Mauritius and had this meeting with us here, including the Prime Minister, on an important, including our Prime Minister, on an important matter, is a tangible proof of the commitment of Hungary to the EU-OACPS partnership, which is greatly appreciated by all 79 OACP states. Mr. Speaker, sir, my objective as the President of the OACPS Council of Ministers was to have a candid discussion with the Hungarian Minister and put across arguments that would bring Hungary to review its position concerning the signature of the new OACPS-EU Partnership Agreement. While Hungary supported economic cooperation between the EU and the OACPS as laid down in the post-Cotonou Agreement, it opposed its sections on migration and sexual rights. In fact, the Parliament of Hungary made a clear decision in 2021 which required the government to oppose the approval of the post-Cotonou Agreement. As chair of the OACPS Council of Ministers, I engaged in a constructive dialogue with the Hungarian delegation with a view to reconciling our divergent positions, with a view to help resolving the matter and expedite the process for the timely signing of the post-Cotonou Agreement. Sir, I am pleased to inform the House that a major diplomatic breakthrough was achieved at this meeting. Hungary received the necessary guarantees that led it to agree to the EU signing the post-Cotonou Agreement with the OACPS. It was agreed that all decisions regarding migration and sexual rights, as well as the employment and integration of foreigners, would remain within Hungary's sovereign competence. Hungary is now satisfied that these developments fulfill its Parliament's expectations, and it agreed to the EU signing the post-Cotonou Agreement. This is expected to happen in the coming months in Samoa under the presidency of Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, it was crucial to make significant progress through this meeting and find a way forward so that the post-Cotonou Agreement could be signed. Any further delay would have sent a wrong signal about the commitment to the OACPS-EU partnership, especially at a time when the world needs cooperation to tackle the various global and regional challenges. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House may also wish to know that under the post-Cotonou Agreement, there is no dedicated financial protocol, unlike the Cotonou Agreement, which had a financial package to fund the national indicative programs through the European Development Fund earmarked for the ACP. The EU has now adopted a new approach to financing under the Neighbourhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument, the NDICI, which would extend financial assistance through geographical and thematic development projects. In this regard, the EU has put in place the Team Europe initiative, which essentially consists of the EU member states working together and pooling their resources and expertise to identify critical priorities that constrain development in a given country or region. In view thereof, Mauritius and Hungary agreed to engage and explore avenues to enhance bilateral cooperation. Mr. Speaker, sir, Mauritius will now be included in Hungary's scholarship program. Hungary has agreed to offer 15 scholarships annually to Mauritian students wishing to study in Hungary. We also agreed to pursue efforts with a view to attracting more tourists from Hungary. Mr. Speaker, sir, as it can be seen, we are taking all pragmatic measures to protect our economic interests. We may not be able to take a single sword swipe to cut the Gordian knot of complex geo-economic challenges, but we are leaving no stone unturned to ensure that our economic interests are protected and promoted. I thank you for your attention.
Mr. Speaker, sir, with your permission, I would like to make a statement on a matter raised by Honorable Fukyun Basha at a sitting of the National Assembly held on 18th April 2023 in respect of a list handed to me by the Honorable Member regarding broken and leaking pipes in the constituency number 20, Beaubassin Petite Rivière. I wish to inform the House that officers of the Central Water Authority and the Technical Services Unit of my ministry had carried out a joint site visit on 19th and 20th April 2023 at the locations mentioned in the list provided to me. I am informed that problems of broken pipes in respect of 15 out of the 44 locations have been reported to the Central Water Authority, out of which 12 have already been repaired. The outstanding works at the remaining 3 locations are expected to be completed by the end of April 2023. It is to be noted that for 28 locations, the CWA has informed that it has not received any complaint of leaking or broken pipe. One address, namely Rue Cana, Les Chebel, could not be traced. Moreover, during the site visits, no visible leakage was found at 4 locations, namely Baznat Lane, Canot, Zinnia Lane, Canot, Raymond Rivette Road, Montroche, and Arthur Maurice Road, Montroche. As I have mentioned in my reply to PQB 315 earlier today, some parts of the CWA network dates back to 60 or 80 years and hence may be more prone to faults. Every effort is, however, made to prioritize the faults and attend to them. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed by the Central Water Authority that an investment of more than 3.5 billion rupees has been made since year 2015 in respect of projects to replace old and defective CWA pipes. Major works have been carried out at Plaine-Verte to Cité Martial, Salazie to Les Mariannes, La Marie to La Brasserie Réservoir, Gros-Mandel, Gros-Caillou and Canot areas, Southwestern Coast, Candos, Richano to Grand Bel-Air, Pérébert, L'Almaty, and Rosil, among others. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House of the outcome of the claim entered by Mr. Daoud Rawat, hereinafter called the claimant, against the state of Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, this claim represents one of the biggest arbitration claims ever entered against the state of Mauritius. On 8 June 2015, the claimant sent a notice of arbitration to the Republic of Mauritius on the basis of the France-Mauritius Bilateral Investment Treaty. On 9 November 2015, the claimant filed a request for arbitration under the rules
of the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, UNCITRAL, 1976, on international arbitration. The proceedings were administered under the aegis of the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague and conducted under the UNCITRAL arbitration rules. The case reference is PCA 2016-20. The seat of arbitration was Brussels. On 6 April 2018, the arbitral tribunal delivered its award setting aside the claim for damages in the sum of $1 billion against the Republic of Mauritius for alleged breach of the France-Mauritius bilateral investment treaty in relation to the assets of the British American investment company Mauritius Limited. On 3rd July 2018, the claimant lodged an action for annulment, i.e. une demande d'annulation of the award. The said action for annulment was lodged before the Tribunal de Première Instance francophone de Bruxelles. On 30th June 2021, the Tribunal de Première Instance francophone de Bruxelles delivered its judgment dismissing the action for annulment of the award. The claimant appealed against the judgment of the Tribunal de Première Instance francophone de Bruxelles to la Cour de cassation de Belgique. In a judgment dated 6 April 2023, la Cour de cassation de Belgique has dismissed the appeal of the claimant with costs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Public bills, first reading.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Coudon Bridges Port Louis Authorised Construction Amendment Bill number 5 of 2023 be read a first time.
Seconded.
Seconded. Mr. Speaker, sir, I move that the Education Amendment Bill number 6 of 2023 be read a first time.
Seconded.
Public bills, second reading.
Honorable Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have today in front of the House that has been presented to us by the Honourable Minister Darshanan Balgobin, which I would like to congratulate, and his team for bringing this bill to the House, because it was time to repeal and replace the National Computer Board Act and to bring a new establishment for the Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency. If you do recall, Mr. Speaker, sir, I think I was still a kid when the National Computer Board was brought to this House. It was in 1988 under the Prime Ministership of late Shaniru Jagnat, and was presented at the time by the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Minister of Finance at the time of Mr. Lakshminarayan. And the bill that was presented at the time was for establishment of the Computer Board, and the role was to harmonize computer development locally and to ensure that the necessary training and research facilities are available at the national level to build up the required expertise in that field. And there was also at the time, Mr. Speaker, sir, a National Information Technology Plan. And it was important at that time, and we can say the vision of late Shaniru Jagnat about bringing this ICT sector to a new level, and to start this sector, we can say he was a man of great vision, and today we have the testimony when we see what has been developed in EBAN, and we see how many youth are getting jobs there. We can say this, it was a man of great vision, and he put the country in the right place with the creation of the National Computer Board at this time. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me also quote our Prime Minister when we have the government program in 2014, when it was presented. He said in his speech, quote, internet connectivity, broadband information and communication technology, and indeed innovation will be at the heart of all our economic and social strategies, cutting across not only through our existing pillars, but as importantly through all the new economic sectors, unquote. To tell you that this government, through the leadership of our Prime Minister, Honorable Pravin Kumar Jagannath, he is also bringing the ICT sector to the next level. And we know how information technology can be vital for a country to develop. And during COVID time, we have been witnessing it, how the use of technology has helped us to order food online, to be connected online to get the information, the right information, so that we have the necessary precaution to be made. And I must also commend the Minister, Honorable Darshanan Balgobin. We can say during that hard time that we had, it was very big measures was taken so that we could help the country and the people to move and to combat the COVID pandemic. Because if measures were not taken through the ministry, we could say that people, for example, let me give you an example. We had all the mighty services, all the TV services were free of charge so that people could have a distraction to stay at home, because if they don't have any activity, they would like to go outside. There was schooling online. We can say this was an important measure so that we prevent people from gathering and trying to go outside. There were several measures that was taken, but I wanted to just name a few. Because, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the vision that this government have, and with the presentation of this Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency Bill, we are going in the right direction, because we have to innovate. And the fastest that this is going, this industry, last week, on the 20th of April, the president of OTAN, Ms. Jenny Chan, let me quote her also. Monsieur le Président, elle a mentionné, il est essentiel d'agir assez vite. Nous ne pouvons pas rester à la traîne, sinon nous serons toujours en décalage en termes de formation et de création de compétences. Tant que nous serons en décalage, nous aurons des lacunes de compétences pratiquement en permanence, et ce qui nous empêchera d'avancer et de se faire croître le secteur aussi rapidement que nous le souhaitons. Unquote. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have a government here and a team that is working for all spheres of the population and to boost the ICT sector. And during COVID time, we can say most of our sectors, for example, tourism was negative. The only two sectors that were positive were the ICT sector and the financial services sector. And Mr. Speaker, sir, like, if we do the right thing with ICT, it has great promise to reduce poverty, increase productivity, boost economic growth, improve accountability and governance. That also not only grew the ICT under what we can say for now, people are using more and more mobile phones to access, because We are talking of 4G. Now we are coming with 5G. We are going with the highest broadband in the region. We are rapidness of our internet. These are the achievements that this government is bringing also. There are many things that I will come at a later stage to tell you what has been done under the Minister Balgobin under the leadership of the Prime Minister through the 3-year mandate that we are here, what many things that has been done that is improving the life of our citizens. We can say that when we see in the world, if we want to, for example, I was reading the World Economic Forum the other day on the digitalization of the economy. And it is important that now that ICT is across all sectors, Mr. Speaker, sir. And last week we were presenting the Waste Management Resource Bill, and we can say that ICT also will play a big role in this sector also. Because with technology now, Mr. Speaker, sir, you can, from your office here, you can be watching what is happening at your house. You can even order to irrigate your house or your garden from the latest technology. What I want to say, Mr. Speaker, sir, with the Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency Bill, the mandate that is being given to this MDPA, it has a big mandate and it will have an utmost importance for our youth and for the future of this country. Because when we are talking about digitalization of an economy, one of the the 4 pillars is to have the proper training and infrastructure, and one of the proper training would be through the MDPA. And we can say, Mr. Speaker, sir, now when we talk about the ICT sector, Mauritius should be proud because we have many industries who are looking to come to Mauritius, and many have been establishing themselves here. The minister informed in his speech, and we have analytics and big data, which are big, which many industry in this sector are looking at. Gaming and VR, cloud services, fintech, because now accounting and finance, Mr. Speaker, sir, with fintech, it is, we can say it's boosting, and we have also the Internet of Things, which could be one of a pillar of our economy if we develop it in the proper way. But we had to set the stone, and that's why we are here. And with the Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency, one of the objects, the main object is to grow the ICT sector for skill development and innovation, and achieve basic ICT proficiency among all population groups. Mr. Speaker, sir, just think if because our education literacy is more than 90% here in Mauritius. If we don't train our people, if we do not have the people trained during the pandemic, we would not have had the effect that the World Health Organization would have been making praise of our country to have combat the pandemic in a way and to confront this. And praises for our Minister of Wellness also, Dr. Jagatpal, was doing a great work. But to tell you, with the MDPA, we are going also to formulate national policies in respect to promotion and development of the ICT and its application. If we look what India is doing, in India, many of the youth, it's like new Silicon Valley there, and many unicorns are being developed by the youth. And here in Mauritius also, we are going to train our youth and the kids so that at very early stage, they can be developing softwares, application. And Mr. Speaker, sir, let me tell you that many application is being, for Facebook, for instance, is being developed in Mauritius by our Mauritians. our Mauritian who has learned from the University of Mauritius or who has trained abroad but is being developed now in Mauritius. There are many, many opportunities when we see about this digitalization of the economy. The MDPA is going to play a very big role, and I'm pleased that I heard the minister say that there will be a transition, and there was a confusion, and he made it in his speech about all the staff of the National Computer Board. But now we'll need to innovate more and more with VR. We're talking about artificial intelligence, Mr. Speaker, sir. I remember during the COVID time when Parliament was closed, the leader of the opposition, the members of the opposition were saying, let's do it virtual. Let's do it virtual, and maybe this will become near future. We don't know what will happen. We are projecting for 50, 60 years in front. Why not? We had honorable colleague from the PPS from Rodrigue who had the opportunity to make his speech on TV here for his intervention. And we can say now we are being provided with iPads. It has been for, I think, for the past years to all the MPs so that we use less papers. But this is in our, we can say, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's in our habits. But now the habits is changing. We can see Honorable Leopold using his phone to make his speech and in his intervention. This is what I want to tell you, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we are evolving. We are evolving and we are going in the right direction. And like we said, telecommunication, Mr. Speaker, sir, infrastructure is the foundation for a new digital economy. And the investment that is being done by our government in this sector will generate intensive potential in the economic activity and will also attract investors to come to Mauritius because we have trained laborers here, but we will need to go further because the world is going so fast in this sector. And Mr. Speaker, sir, like I have said earlier, the MDPA will aim to spearhead the development of the ICT industry of Mauritius for innovation to increase its global competitiveness. Because we are going to have, we can say, competition for our African brothers and sisters counterparts. And Mauritius can become for Africa, Mauritius can be the ICT hub for Africa. And we are well situated, and this sector is a pillar of the economy for our youth where they are going, whether it's in social media development, but there are so many training that has to be done, and I'm proud and feel proud to be in this government that the minister is bringing this MDPA to provide more training for our youth. The MDPA will be called to play a more prominent role in the advising government on policies, like I've said earlier. We have to develop a digital culture and empower our citizens. We will also, Mr. Speaker, sir, coordinate service delivery in the ICT sector to move to the next wave of development. We had to have this change, Mr. Speaker, sir. One thing also, Mr. Speaker, sir, this government is committed to digitalize our economy, like I've said earlier. And like the minister has said, 140 government e-services are available now to the public. Application for registration mark, application for learners, driver's license. We have seen first time in Mauritius the birth certificate and marriage certificate are available online. It is also accessible via other smart channels like our tablets, mobile phones, through the MoCloud platform. We have other e-services applications like Mon Rendezvous that have definitely transformed the citizen interaction with the government and have reduced the administrative hassle in everyday life. We now have people don't need to move to go to the municipality or any local authority district council. They have the CSU now, app that they can make their complaint on the CSU and things are being done. And this has been, I think the ministry has been very innovative in this way. Now we are also having at the level of the district council and local authorities, the e-platform that is being developed in all the local authorities. We have also the Facile platform that was launched in 2020 with 50 of the most used e-services such as annual registration, fees of company, online payment of motor vehicle license, building and land use permit, and even more user-friendly setup. And we can say that Facile MU also hosts detailed explanation on how to optimally use online government services. I would also request the Minister if we could use Creole language to explain in some of these applications so that some people who are Moatis can use all these applications, and I think there are also a training that has to be done to some of the people, and there is a coordination that can be made. Mr. Speaker, sir, this MDP bill was important because now we are setting the pace to move to a higher level, and we are preparing our youth to go in the right direction, and with the proper and training, there will be more of our youth can have opportunities in many of the multinationals that are present in the ICT sector in Mauritius. Ceridian, there are others that are coming, and we can see how fast this industry is going. And I'm convinced that this MDPA will bring a fresh air to this industry, and it was important to repeal and replace the National Committee Board. It has made its time, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I fully support this Mauritius Digital Promotion Agency bill, and I would like to congratulate the Minister and all his staff, the PS and all the team of the Ministry who has worked on this bill, and I wish him well in his future endeavor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honourable members, I'm suspending the sitting for 45 minutes.